everyone, and welcome to Political Science 3316, Statistics for Political Science. This video is to get you acquainted with the syllabus and the expectations for the course. We'll go over a few tips on how to succeed in this course, as well as information about the book, about the statistical program that we're going to be using, and other necessary items. Please pay attention to this video, since there will be a quiz on it afterwards. A number of students come into this course a little bit intimidated. A number of people decide they just don't like math. I actually was one of these people. When I was an undergraduate, I thought that my goal was to try to avoid math as much as possible. I was just going to learn about foreign countries, I was going to learn a foreign language, and I was going to go join the Foreign Service. But after taking a course similar to this one, I realized that math wasn't just some abstract idea out there. It was something I could actually use in order to discover things that I wanted to know about. That's what this course is about, and it's one of the reasons why I am firmly convinced that this is the most important course in the political science curriculum. While a lot of other courses will tell you about a lot of interesting theories that other people have come up with, this course, along with the course discussing how to set up research, are the only ones that will tell you how to do the research yourself and how to make your own discoveries. Rule number one for being successful in this course is read the syllabus. The syllabus is available online on Blackboard in the administration folder. You should go and download the latest version of the syllabus as soon as possible and keep it on hand. The syllabus provides a lot of very useful information. For example, it gives you my email address, my office hours, as well as my office phone number. It also tells you about your TA, his office hours, and his email address. In addition, because I know that I'm going to be asked about it 100 times during the course of the semester, the timing of the final exam is also listed on the syllabus, along with the link in order to look up the latest final exam schedule, not just for this course, but for all of your future courses. So please, don't ask me when your final exam is. It's on the syllabus, and that's what I'm going to tell you time and time again. Now, the syllabus isn't completely written in stone. There are going to probably be some times where we're going to have to adjust things, but generally speaking, it should give you a strong outline of what's going on and answer most of your questions about the administration of this class. Rule number two, show up, preferably prepared and with any needed assignments and/or equipment. All I really ask is that you show up on time with the appropriate materials in order to participate in the class. This is one of those courses that's a little bit different from others. It's not a course that you can easily cram for. It's not a course where you're going to be able to, miss a few classes here and there and just catch up on the readings. For most of you, not for all of you, but for most of you, attendance in class is going to be absolutely critical for getting a good grade. If you show up, if you do the work, almost everyone who I've had in this class, actually, I can't even think of an exception to this, has done very well. In fact, they've usually been surprised by how well they ended up doing. Those who didn't show up and didn't turn their assignments and didn't do the work in class and just sat back and hoped that I wouldn't notice them, these students are the ones who tended to be disappointed. To quote one of my students who wrote about this in his anonymous review in spring of 2015, on the first day of class, he, that being me, told us that if we showed up and did the work, we would be fine. If we didn't, we would fail. He was right. I'm not sure how the student ended up doing, but over and over again, this is what I have heard from students. If you show up and you do the work, you're probably going to find that you do much better than you ever expected. If you don't show up and you don't do the work, well, chances are things aren't going to turn out very well. Rule number three, try and try again. This course is going to be a little bit different from other courses that you've had. Learning is cumulative, so if you're having difficulties with one area, chances are you're going to have difficulties with subsequent areas. If you can't calculate an average, you're going to have difficulty calculating a t-test. If you don't know what a standard deviation is, then chances are you're going to have trouble later on when we talk about regression. You need to know each part before you go on to the next part. That means that if you're having difficulties in one area, don't wait around until the exam and expect that you're going to be able to cram it all in at the end. You need to make sure that you understand what's happening at each step along the way. In order to do this, I really suggest that you constantly try to explain it to yourself and work through new problems. There are lots of tutorials online. There are plenty of problems that are in your book. There's lots of different explanations and different ways to work through this. But the key thing is that until you are able to, in your own mind, explain what's happening to yourself, you have not mastered the material. And you've got to reach that point before you go further. Another thing to think about is to try and review the materials every so often. It's sometimes said that the best time to learn something is right before you forget it. Go back every once in a while and try to calculate something that you may have had trouble with previously. Try to remind yourself of a concept that you might have forgotten. Look through the class notes every so often. All of this will help to reinforce that memory and to really make you successful. And the last thing is, don't just learn the material, teach the material. This means both explaining it to yourself, but also if you have a chance to work with your classmates or explain this to one of your classmates, this will help you in terms of learning the material yourself. If you're really nervous about this and want a guide for how to learn about statistics and mathematics in general better, there's a great book by Barbara Oakley. She's someone who, as the book title suggests, flunked algebra when she was in high school, but then later on began figuring out a different way to learn math. She went through college, then she went through graduate school, and now she is a PhD in engineering. She gives some very valuable tips for how to improve your learning in this area. Rule number 4, if you have a question, ask. There are lots and lots of resources to help you out. There's the internet. Believe it or not, there are lots of great tutorials on statistics on the internet. Khan Academy does an excellent job of explaining a number of concepts. The book, I think the book does a pretty good job of explaining a lot of things. You should definitely take a look at it. Other classmates may be able to help you out. We have a TA for this class, and of course you have me and my office hours. With both my TA and myself, if you are not able to make our office hours, you can email us in order to schedule a different appointment time. This, by the way, is your TA for this semester, Philip Wagoner. His office hours are on the syllabus. You should feel free to contact him and to try to work with him on any kinds of questions. One thing that I should tell you is that most of the questions that you're going to encounter in this class are going to be better solved discussing them in person than trying to do some kind of email conversation online. Generally speaking, trying to explain these things over email doesn't work out very well. So please try to make in-person appointments. As far as the structure of the class is concerned, we do have a required book. The required book is The Introduction to the Practice of Statistics by Moore, McCabe, and Craig. You can get anything from the 6th edition or newer. In fact, even earlier editions would probably work. I just haven't personally reviewed them, and so I can't guarantee that they will work. Now, one of the things to note about this is that if you buy this book new from the bookstore, it is insanely expensive. So unless your scholarship requires that you purchase the books new from the bookstore, I generally recommend that you don't do this. You can get these books for $10 or under on places like Amazon.com, Half.com, a number of other resources, but go get this now. Don't wait. Also, you can rent it new on Amazon. I think it's $30 to rent new. So, please go right after you watch this video, go out, get your book, make sure that you have it. You can also go to Blackboard, where on Blackboard we will have the syllabus, we have the assignments, you'll find the data sets that you need, you'll find a number of other useful links. Any additional readings that I put up will be placed on Blackboard, and also for some of your assignments, this is where you're going to be turning them in. Again, don't wait to familiarize yourself with Blackboard. Go to Blackboard now, log into the course, look through some of the folders, and get yourself familiar. Whenever you come to class, you should bring certain things. I recommend that you bring the book. We might not need it every day, but we will need it some days, and it'll be useful for you to have when we do need it. You probably ought to bring a pencil or a pen. I generally recommend a pencil. When you're doing math problems, there tends to be some erasing. And so even when I do problems, I also use a pencil just so that I can erase. Although I hear they have erasable pens now, so if you have one of those, that might work as well. You should definitely bring notebook paper. I will have problems that we will work out in class. This is an excellent opportunity for you to learn the material, to work through the problems when you have us there to help you work through them. So please always bring a paper. You should always, always, always bring a calculator, and it should be a calculator that you plan to use on your exams. This way you will be familiar with your calculator, you'll know how the functions work. If there are any problems, we'll be able to work those out. You should have a calculator that is not your cell phone, that can do squares and square roots, and have some basic functionality. It doesn't have to be an expensive calculator. As long as it can calculate squares and square roots, generally speaking, you're going to end up being fine. Programming calculators graphing calculators are allowed. The one thing I will tell you is on graphing calculators, if I catch you using one of the programs on the graphing calculator instead of actually punching in the numbers and calculating them, then you will receive an automatic 0 on the exam. This has happened in the past. Students have received 0s. Don't make me enforce this. Your cell phone is not your calculator. Do not use your cell phone as your calculator because you will not be able to use your cell phone as your calculator on the exams. Lastly, on some days, I will ask you to bring in your computer. We will work through some problems on using the statistical software that we're going to be utilizing. And so on those days, it's very useful if you bring a charged laptop with the data sets and the program already loaded. This is a no cell phone zone. I have enough respect for you that for an hour and a half each day, I turn off my cell phone. I expect you to have the same respect for me. And by the way, I will stop class and single you out if you do use your cell phone in class. We will be using a statistical program for this course called Stata. The instructions for how to download it and get the license, everything like that, are available on Blackboard under the administration folder. You will want a 6-month license for small Stata. This is $38. If you want a longer license or you want to get a larger program, if you're planning on using this in the future, then I would recommend getting Stata IC, which allows for much larger types of analyses, and you can get a perpetual license which will last you into infinity. But the 6-month license is the cheapest, and it's about $38, and you should be able to utilize it. If you have familiarity with another statistical program that you really want to utilize, that's fine, but realize that we will not be providing support for that statistical program. If things go wrong, it's on you, not on us. I talk about in class why we utilize this more, but there are several reasons why we utilize Stata. Primarily, we utilize Stata because, like other statistical programs that are built for this purpose, I know what's going to come out of there. If we're using Excel or some other programs, then it can be sometimes difficult to know what is being produced. If you want to see what some of the problems caused by Excel and other programs are, you can go online and find a lot about this. Stata is commonly used in political science and economics. I also use R, for those of you who are familiar with that, but Stata is much more user-friendly than R is, which is more of a programming language. The Stata documentation is fantastic, both online and with the computer itself, and we'll be going through how to use the Stata documentation. It's a very flexible statistical analysis toolkit with lots of programming functions. It has access to a lot of cutting-edge analytics, including Bayesian statistics, multi-level models, time series data. Basically, anything that you would want to do up to a very, very high point is available either built in on Stata or in a user-written extension. And lastly, there's a vibrant, robust community that both provides help for people who need it and also provides new programs on cutting-edge tools. This is what it looks like when you have it open up. And you'll be seeing the screen quite a bit. The breakdown of the grading, which is in your syllabus, can be seen here. You'll notice that we have a syllabus quiz. You also have 3 analysis reports, including a question analysis, summary statistics report, and bivariate analysis. There will only be 2 exams, the midterm and the final, and there will be 5 homeworks worth a total of 100 points. Attendance is also important. You'll notice attendance is 50 points. The reason why I take attendance is because basically I have found, again, if you don't show up, you don't end up doing well. And originally when I started teaching, I told students, I'm not your parents. I'll tell you that you need to show up. If you don't show up, you'll incur the consequences. In the end, I found that students were happier and people did better if I required attendance. So attendance is mandatory. You will have 3 absences throughout the semester that you can take at any point, after which it will count against your grade. Don't cheat, and let me know if you need help. You can see the statement on plagiarism and accessibility are both in the syllabus. If you need either of those, please make sure that you read them. I have had students fail this course because they were caught cheating. Please don't be another person on that. In terms of schedule, office hours, date of final, schedule readings are all available on the syllabus. Please try to have the readings done before class if possible. The schedule is subject to change if needed, although usually we end up going pretty strictly by the schedule. Assignments are going to be announced in class and via email. I give you a week in order to do each assignment, and I give review sheets for the final exams a week prior to the final exam. And the final exam date is on the syllabus, and there's also a link to the final exam schedule online. And it will be in the same room that we meet for regular class. So that's it for the syllabus. Thank you for watching. Now, if you will go to Blackboard, you will find a syllabus quiz that has been posted. Please make sure that you finish that as soon as possible. It's worth 10 points of your grade, and it's the easiest 10 points you're going to get all semester. Thank you.